Morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Bread for Soul Convos. And the lady who just appeared on your screens, a beautiful lady, Nandi Madida. I almost said Nandi Mgoma. I think that's how your brand, like even before you got married, like your brand,
Yeah.
I believe was so strong. Do you still find more people like getting Mgoma Madida?
It's so strange, and I find it quite surprising. People have just embraced Madida because I thought it would be a huge problem.
Mm.
But I think also because Ngoma was so difficult for a lot of people to say, especially people from outside of where I'm from, Durban,
Mm.
KwaZulu Natal. They embraced Madida, which is a lot more like
Uh,
easier for the whole world to say. So I think that's why people embraced it very quickly. So for some odd reason, not as much. Obviously, you always find the odd person here and there, but yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with the general public.
yeah, yeah.
How are
Cool.
you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for joining me.
Good. I'm good. And I must say, a disclaimer. So, with COVID, of course, we're doing everything in our homes. And so the kids are running everywhere. So if you see one of the kids running somewhere, there's some crying or laughter, that's them. And we're getting prepared for safari. But what a time to be alive. Hey, man, this
What
is, this
when
is crazy.
when I spoke to you, we had a chat a few. I think it was like a month ago, and you were
Yeah.
just telling me how busy you've been since the lockdown. Like I mean, it's been the same for me. I feel like I gotten busier than I was before the lockdown. But what
Absolutely.
has been keeping you that busy?
So for me, and I don't take it for granted. I think it's a very difficult time for a lot of us. A lot of people in general. In my case, I was always interested more in the digital world. And someone like yourself is the same. And and to be very honest, for years people have saying this is the way the world is shifting. You know,
Mm.
on digital. So, for example, I launched my website last year, which was more a lifestyle website. I'm launching something now next month, and you're seeing the fruits of that. So there's a lot of campaigns that I'm a part of. Because there's been a lot of investment. Of course, my first single as a solo artist is coming next month. I'm giving you an
Nice,
exclusive
nice,
because I've
nice,
just
nice. I
signed
can't wait. Yeah,
to Sony.
cool.
But so all the investment, there's almost been like a return on investment in understanding the gravitas, the importance of digital. So whether it be brands, me, I mean, I just did something with Essence, which was amazing. Essence magazine, of course, that's there in America, as well as now 31st of July, there's Black is King, a film by Beyonce that I was a part of. So it was more just investing in everything before. Also, and I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I think it's important to say it's always important to have passive income or just income that you've put aside. I was always very frugal and pedantic. I can say I also am a bit of an anxiety summer person. And because of that, it's been important and it's shown me what our parents used to always say that just put even if we're 20 rand, 10 rand away, because you never know tomorrow. And it's really shown me that, and to have good relations, because you never know who may help you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't burn bridges. I'm speaking to you. We go way back. People don't know. Me and you go way back.
Yeah.
And of course, you've done amazing things. I still love your single with Brian. Temba. I mean, you really, and then obviously I know you from television, the DSTV days.
Yes.
So, but we still have a great relationship because you've always been anyone who knows you're a great person, a great professional, amazing at what you do.
Thank you.
And because we have these relations, look at us speaking now. Do you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm really, if anything, I've been benefiting from such. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your kind words. But I also, I mean, like, there's a lot to talk about because you do so much, and
Yeah.
particularly for this show, as a music person, I started the show together with my partner to really address the issue of lack of information or some sort of knowledge, when it comes to getting into the industry, and also to expose people to other parts and other ways of actually navigating, through the industry. Because for a long
Mm,
time I've always considered even though I had the TV work, and I loved it. That's a part of what I've been
mm,
doing it for 10 years. But I've
yeah.
always seen myself as a one-dimensional artist, meaning I see myself as
mm,
a DJ producer. I'm gonna make the biggest hits, maybe make a Grammy-winning album, and then gone am I. But
mm, mm,
but then as time goes, I'm learning to get into other things as well. This being one of them,
mm,
because working on TV has also taught me how to put together a show, how to produce a show, how to put together content as well. And this is something I want to
mm.
pursue. And I guess my next question that I really want to ask you, you've been on TV since you were 15 years old, on
Yes.
the Blink, on SABC2. Um, but you say music has been your first love. Have you always thought about yourself and your career as this multi-dimensional thing?
You've just asked the best question. I just wish everyone would ask me that question. Um, yes, I think I was fortunate enough in my childhood, I got to explore my passions, and my passions have always been in art. I mean, also a lot of people don't know that I sketch. That's just another hobby that I do. But art has always been a huge passion of mine. I was always inspired by a lot of people, including relatives, and people don't know it's family. Sibo Wile Kumanda's family.
Wow.
Walangoma.
Oh, damn.
Her, yes, I just broke something a lot of people don't know. Her dad is Gabi Ngoma. They've always inspired me. So, and then even my dad, as much as he didn't get into music, he always loved music. So that part was always fulfilled growing up. But television as well, I used to come do pageants, and so I loved entertaining people, and that came very naturally. So doing that at 15, I got to explore a lot. But my almost base has always been music. The only reason I delayed my music career, and this was very important, and I always say this is because, when there's something you truly, truly like your first love, almost like your child, you want to make sure you execute it right, but also when I first entered, so I had a song with DJ Frankie, who's my brother. I love him, and of course, Usaf was also on the track. So they're both my big brothers,
Tonight, yeah.
and tonight
Yeah.
and they protected me a lot because what I didn't anticipate is that as a young aspirational musician, obviously at the time, I wasn't aware that because I'm a female, a lot of people try to take advantage of me. I've been very fortunate that I had people like them protecting me because there were a lot of DJs, who were like, who's that guy? And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Your favorite DJs, yeah. And and I was fortunate to be protected, and I thought, oh, that music world is not as simple as television, where you go, you audition. Yes, television has the same issues with a lot of executives also being very dodgy, but it's a lot more straightforward in that you come in. If you get the job, of course, after auditioning, you come in, you do your links, you go home, and that's it. With music, there's a compiler involved, there's a lot of politics involved, there's a lot. And so I said, look, I'm already doing well with television. Diversifying has really served me in this way, where I'm doing well in television. It's more simple. There's less politics per se, and I'm so fortunate speaking to you because you understand what I'm trying to say. Um, and because of that, I said, as a female, I just want to protect myself. And when the time is right enough, built my name up so strong, I can go into music, be respected, speak to the executives, and be speaking on another level. So that was just myself protecting myself from a moral principle ground, as well. Then also just to make sure that I can also have control of the kind of career I'm trying to have, and even of the narrative. So, for example, I'm so fortunate that Sony, my new family, who I love so much, I'm able to see the people right at the top, and I'm prioritized and be able to exchange in a fair, meaningful way. And I also have to give them a huge shout out because they have so much respect for me. And as a female, that's so important because you don't see that a lot, So just to answer your question, you're right. People like myself and yourself, we've been very fortunate in that we get to almost be secure, but also enjoy our passions and protect ourselves, and that we've diversified. And so we haven't put all these eggs in one basket. And people used to always say that you can't be doing many things. I look at people like J-Lo. In fact, most people are. You look at Rihanna's, J-Lo, your biggest pop stars, locally, both abroad and locally. Tembi Theatre, you name it.
Mm.
Um, they're expressing themselves because I feel like art is, artists enjoy art as a whole. So you'll
Mm.
find them dipping themselves in different forms of arts,
Mm. Mm.
And so I think now the world is starting to see that you can diversify.
Mm.
And that's very important to me. And I never listen to other people, I listen to my heart. And it served me very well, even from a financial perspective as well, because I want to
Mm.
be real.
Mm.
My Like, you understand this, where um, for COVID, for example, we're not gigging, but that hasn't affected me because television, like I'm doing a new television show for the home channel, that I'm fine there. I get to do MCing digital work, so I've also safeguarded myself in that way. And then, of course, with investments and business. But then again, I can always go into music. So there's also no I don't feel a sense of insecurity
Mm.
with the music. I drop music when I feel I have a good song.
Mm.
We've been fortunate, for example, the singer I did with KO, it's been nominated for a Sama, for
Yeah.
two Samas. Actually, that was one Sama, for two Samas.
Damn.
And that's a beautiful thing. And I did that song when I was pregnant at my own time. It took me like, I think like literally 9 months, like my pregnancy, to like get the song done. But there was no pressure because it wasn't like I need this song to get out and be a hit. And again, we weren't like, obviously everyone would love this song to be a hit, but we weren't really like, oh my goodness, if this is not a hit, what are we gonna do?
Mm.
So just be able to enjoy the arts
Yeah.
is important.
And I think for me, it's actually, I see it now that in the future it will look weird for any artist to only be doing one thing, as because the way I see it, everybody's actually doing it, even the most successful artists who are just artists find themselves starting out other businesses and other avenues, not necessarily
Uh,
possibly for a financial thing, but more, I think it's mainly just to fulfill themselves, because I think that we are more than just one thing. Just as people, we are able and capable of
as
doing,
people,
yeah,
as you
generally,
all said, as people. In fact, you've nailed it. You saying it better than I could have ever said it. Just as people, we all have different passions and hobbies. You don't just have one hobby
yeah.
that that fulfills you. Absolutely. So why not express all of that and enjoy that, and even bonus, get some income from all these different passions you have. You've said
Mm.
it so well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, something that I want to talk to you about, because I actually wanted to jump on it at the beginning of our chat, regarding, a bit, not really personal, but you got married to Zex Bantwini, and this
Yes.
guy, he's a super artist. You are an artist too,
Yes.
right? But I've seen an interview where you said something like, when you met him, when he became part of your life, that's when
Yes.
your career started, on a good trajectory. And I think
Oh yeah.
you mentioned something about putting together a team, and just putting together a vision, a much clearer vision, as to how you are gonna go about this thing. Um, what is How does, like, actually putting a team work? Because we hear this all the time. People will be like, "No, you're an artist. You need a team. You need a team. You need a team. You
Yeah.
need a team." But nobody really tells you what's the make of this team, and how do you even begin to putting together a team?
I'm going to use a marketing term almost in a wrong context, but to explain this, um, a team is almost like algorithms. It's like an energy thing, where because people always say, yeah, someone who's got a good CV and whatever the case may be. The truth is, for example, South Africa, a lot of people who are your so-called managers or PR people, some have been riding where they've been a part of good brands, but you actually find that it was actually the person who really was running this thing more than maybe the manager, or vice versa.
Mm.
Um, so I don't necessarily feel like it has to be someone with experience per se, but it has to be someone who is so loyal and committed to seeing you do well
Mm.
and flourish. It's more so even if someone doesn't even have experience in that industry, and there'd
Mm.
be many by the way, but because they're so passionate and willing to do the research and they have that humility, so it's a personality thing more than anything. And they're willing to do anything for you and to see you succeed, and there's almost that selflessness. So it really is personality driven.
Mm.
That's how you gravitate towards a good team and have a good team. And I've been fortunate in that way. to have that. I was just saying this morning, funny enough, Tuesday. So his name, his government name is Zaken. And I was saying to him, one of your fortes, of course, him being an executive as well as an artist, is building. You really build people. I was just like, whether it was with El Volvo, whether it was producing stuff with Black Coffee, whether it was, I mean, he has worked with so many people. The list goes on and on and on. Or even someone like myself, where he understood where I was going and saying, hey, listen, in fact, he had put a team for me because I was like, I don't know who I should be working with. And he said, well, you can actually work with my management. That's fine. I'll just link you guys up. And they were the best. Shout out to Penny and Dane. They were the best people ever. These two females from Cape Town. Um, um, and they were just incredible. We like family. And they took care of me. They nurtured me. They taught me a lot of stuff, gave me structure as well, financial sound advice. And so Zags, for me, I always say, honestly, like the brains behind a lot of what I do has been him. I'm fortunate not to have, and I'm aware of this, that a lot of people are very insecure partners, even if you're in the same industry. He's not a narcissist. He loves to see people flourish, and thank God for that. I can literally be the sexiest, like do the sexiest shoots, and he is there cheering me on. I can do whatever I want. And I think that's also important that within your team or even the partner you have wants to see you really enjoy and thrive in what you're doing. So he's always been my number one supporter till this day. And I think that's even the reason why, I mean, I'm telling you stuff that this is offline stuff.
Thank you.
But Zax is always getting called for like various executive jobs, within the music industry. And it's because so many executives have seen how he works, and he's like a wall of knowledge. He has so much knowledge, but also more importantly, he's willing to share that. You get a lot of people who sign people, for example, whether it's in their labels or sign people in bigger labels or whatever, try and mentor people. But the real reason they're doing that is because they don't want to see that person flourish, but actually want to hinder them because they want to flourish on their own. And he's not like that. And there's a maturity that comes with that, and a balance. So I've been fortunate where, sure, yeah, that guy. It's a good one. That one.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I got lucky there, guy. I don't know, lie. I
Yeah,
got lucky.
I do wanna attest, that if you do when you do have somebody that is supportive of what you do, when you are at your happiest, you can go about your business the best, in the best possible way. Um,
Absolutely.
I recently saw a video of you and you were playing piano. I was like, hey, piano. And I was like, hey, okay, I didn't even know this. Is this something you
Yeah,
learned
live, yeah, live.
from school? Is this
Can I
something?
tell you? Yeah, a lot of people don't know. So I was classically trained in piano. I wish I'd done jazz though. But yeah, I'm classically trained in piano. I'm a classically trained dancer, classically trained in piano. So I did contemporary dance, I did ballet, and then modern dancing as well. And then with piano, I was classically trained all the way to, I think it was like grade 5. Yeah. So the only thing is that because I'm a kid who grew up in the burbs, and I said this all like love, but my fairer people, friends, shout out to you guys, you know who you are. They just don't have that sauce with music quite like we do. So I hated classical music because it was so uh, dry, you know. So I just stopped doing classical piano because I was really bored, for lack of a better word. Because now there was this jazz and all the stuff that, I mean, if anyone's being honest, Black people, and I say this unapologetically, African people are incredible music, and we are the leaders of music, and we inspire music, and that's why whether people appreciate or appropriate our music, we are what we are. And that's my main reason for stopping playing classical music, but classical piano. But I can read music, I can play music, I write music, but that's something people don't know, and they will get to know that as of next month, and it's a nice surprise. I think a lot of people were surprised. Like, oh, you can do this. In fact, it's something I when I was emceeing main stage for Afropunk um, at Brooklyn. So they had her that year, that Daniel Caesar. They had a couple of big names, Erica Badu. But the one thing I picked up is, as much as it's a very like indie festival rather, every single artist who was on that stage knew how to play an instrument and really new music. No matter how commercial their song, they may have a hit song,
Mm.
but at the end of the day, they also know the music. And I think that's something we can learn from. So you get someone who's extremely bubblegum
Mm.
and will then pick up a guitar and show you that no, I'm doing this just for the hits, for like Billboard hits, but when you also want me to then take it all down, I can also be this musical person.
Mm.
And you even see that with people like, for example, Beyonce, who can
Mm.
play piano, but she just doesn't play piano because she chooses not to, and she just kills it on stage.
Yeah.
And I want to be like that way. I am musical, but I choose also to do commercial songs, and I enjoy that, and I want people to have fun on the dance floor. But
Mm.
yes, if you want something acoustic, I can give you that, because it's also important, I think, to invest in music and to show different dimensions. And we don't really have that, our generation, particularly in this country. So we're really talented, but I feel like we don't invest enough in the music. And maybe I'm saying this because, for example, I'm married to someone who graduated in jazz music and
Mm.
studied jazz music. But you just see how he understands when he's producing, uh, how much he understands music. So yes, he'll do house and make it commercial or
Mm.
dance music, but at the same time, he can do that same song and play the bass guitar and
Mm.
piano,
Mm. Mm.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually. That brings me to this point about education, because I'm at when it comes to figuring out what my view is with when it comes to education. For example, I I went through some music theory, like in college,
Yes.
but it's something that in terms of playing, I never really took seriously, because I was more interested in the production side of things. And,
Mm.
the reason I'm bringing in this education question is that, like, firstly, your dad is a doctor, ne?
Yes.
Your mom is a lawyer,
Yes.
your sister is also a doctor. Talk about
Yeah.
pressure. But I want to ask you. You studied law after high school, but I want to ask about the importance of formal education, especially in the current times where somebody can really become a musician or learn to become a musician online and become a dope musician if they are committed to it. And we're seeing less and there's like more big companies like Google has stopped really having a prerequisite of somebody needing to have a degree to work at Google. If you're good at what you do, they'll get you in. And now it brings me to this point: does formal education really matter still in the current times?
What you have said, sure, your questions are great, man. I'm like, yeah,
Thank you.
and so profound. For me, education in its truest form, and this is my view, it's just learning. It's a willingness to learn and take whatever skill, so you acquire that skill to the next level. So it doesn't have to be formal. Remember, formal is also, there's something attached to it. There's a nuance that's attached to it, and that it has to be Western as well. We were learning how to stick fight as Africans,
Mm, mm,
and that was education. You're learning how to dance. You're learning how to, if you were the Khoisan, to paint on caves. That's all education. You're learning how to make food, organic food, or whatever. Farming as Africans, that's you're learning. That's
mm,
education. So, or to braid, or whatever the case may be. So for me, education is essentially learning. It's not about having this degree or diploma, but it's a willingness to take whatever skill, or whatever passion you have to the next level,
mm,
and improve on that. And so I agree completely with Google's almost business model,
mm,
and that as long as you're someone who's willing to learn, advance themselves, improve themselves, know more, then sure.
mm.
And I think that's important. I
Yeah.
think that's very important, because especially in a country like ourselves, where you're finding so many people who are highly educated, and big up to you guys, all of you, but sitting at home.
Mm,
What a shame.
mm,
Do you get what I'm saying? I think it's the biggest scandal ever. Or people who are having to fight to have free education, which is just
mm,
ridiculous.
mm,
So because they can't afford the education, you find don't finish,
mm,
or don't even start, because they're being selfless and giving it to someone else to have the education,
mm,
or just can't at all. I think that. for me, if you can find a way to be an entrepreneur, or if you don't have an entrepreneur spirit, but someone to advance yourself and learn and be skilled and try and get yourself in the doors, these very tightly shut doors, you're still learning. I know a lot of people who, in television, who did not have a formal qualification at all, especially in television. A lot of people who now are executive producers, have hit shows, because they were willing just to learn from others who did not. So yeah, I think what you're saying is so. I've actually never been asked that. What a great
Thank
question.
you, thank you. Yeah. Also, like, I mean, to people who are watching, guys, I'm not having the view that if you wanna be a dental surgeon, you shouldn't go to school, because I would wanna
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
somebody who went to school operating me. So yeah, let's get that just right.
No, no, no.
Yeah, for
No, and
sure.
absolutely. Obviously, there is some formal, well, not necessarily formal education, but certain skills, and everyone understands that
Yeah,
you need to obviously study for that.
yeah.
But what we're trying to say is that learning in its truest form is just advancing what you already know and know more, acquiring more knowledge. And that is learning, that's education.
Yes,
Definitely.
true, true. Let's get back to the music. Like, you released
Yes.
a debut album after the collaboration with DJ Frankie, and
Yes.
you also went on to release a smash hit with KO, that Gangsta Love. And now
Mm.
you've worked with KO again, like you said, in the summer
Yes.
nominated. What's the name of the
Like
song?
6 years later, 6 years later, I didn't realize it was that
Sure.
long.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, it's been 4 years since I released my debut album, and I haven't even
Sure.
begun on the next one. So anyway, um,
So excited.
what is it about your collaborations with KO that just makes it
Yeah.
work?
So first of all, I have to tell you the backstory as to how that even came about. So, KR had randomly, we were doing something for voting, as like media personalities vote. It's important to vote, which it is still important for you guys to vote now more than ever. Vote. But to the youth. And so he bumped into me and he's saying, "Hey, listen, we like to collaborate, but I didn't take it seriously. You know that talk, it's like small
Yeah,
talk. A lot of
yeah.
people, yeah, yeah, we should collaborate.
I
Yeah,
know it
yeah,
should
yeah,
work. Yeah,
yeah,
no, we'll hook up. Sure. And then it never happens.
yeah." And then, yeah, we still need to collaborate, and that's real talk.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Got that?
Serious, yeah.
We got that on video. Yeah, video. But so I was like, yeah, 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 sure, 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 sure. Okay, sure, bye. And then later on, not knowing how serious Carol is as a person, he then when Zex was A&R at Sony, head of A&R at Sony, he obviously had spoken to Sony about the fact that he wanted to collaborate with me. And so then he used Zex, because I was like, yeah, whatever, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, I don't think Nami's taking this thing, like, obviously, like, you could tell I wasn't taking this thing seriously. Because I was thinking hip hop house, managing get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And Zex literally pleaded with me. He says, Thunder Sam, I can tell you now, this song will be big. I promise you. I know, because I was very skeptical of the fact of like riding onto it, because he had just released Kara Kara. And I didn't want it to come off as like I'm an opportunist now and willing to do whatever. So now all of a sudden I'm into like hip hop, because now it's cool, and I didn't want people to see me in that way, in that light, where I'm just like riding on whatever's hot at the moment. And Zays was like, it will not be like that. You will sing the way you sing, but it's just on a hip hop track, and the song it's a slow jam. If anything, it's more R&B. It's your kind of vibe. Please trust me. But he begged me. It took so long. I mean, Kara knows, Zax knows. They begged me. They were like, please. Oh my goodness. And finally, I just thought, look, I have nothing to lose, Maybe just do the song. And I wasn't thinking anything of it. It was a beautiful song, though. That I must say, I was very proud by how the song came out. I said, wow, it's a beautiful song. Let's see what happens. Because I was very nervous. KO, Nandi, you have to understand. I'm sorry, guys. Can I do two things? I need to tell my family to keep quiet.
Cool.
That's my family. They're just so loud. And that's Zayn. That's your person, guys.
I need to get him on the show too,
Yes,
one of
you
these
see,
days.
for that,
Yeah.
Instead of making noise, he needs to get on the show now.
Sure.
But you know, so it was just a beautiful song, and for me, it's always about quality, something you'll be proud of, whether it does well or not. Just be
Mm.
proud of it, you know.
Mm.
And so when we released it, and to my surprise, it did really well.
Mm.
I was shocked, pleasantly surprised, and also at the time, a lot of people still didn't know that I do also do music, so I was just worried about that. And yeah, I did well. And then like 6, 7 years, 6 years after that, um, I was pregnant at the time, and I just thought, people everywhere I go are asking for follow up for
Mm.
gangster life. It was like harassment. It was a bit like good harassment. When are we gonna have the follow up? When are we gonna have a follow up? So I told Karen, I picked up the phone and said, "Yo, man, everyone's asking for follow up."
Mm.
And I know, and it's funny because the tables turned because he was a bit skeptic. Because where he was going was a completely different direction, where he wanted to go really hard on like hip hop. See what
Mm.
I'm saying?
Mm. Mm.
Where it's almost like a sport,
Mm. Mm.
coming that way. And so a song like "Say You Will," where if we'd have another ballad, it would kind of like take him somewhere else, and he just wanted people to understand that, yo, he's that guy for hip hop, and extremely. First of all, also, Kale is extremely talented. Right? He wrote the song, sorry, rather. Produced, co-produced it as well. And I think it's important for people to know that side of him as well, because a lot of people may not know
Mm.
that. And you see, actually, with obviously him having cash time, he's the brains behind a lot,
Mm.
and I think a lot of people need to understand that. So beyond him just being a hip hop artist or a rapper, because you have a lot of people who, and there's nothing wrong with that, who just rap.
Mm.
He actually is a producer as well,
Mm.
and writes his songs. So I had to convince him. Sure, because it took me when I was like 3 months pregnant to having a kid and my kid being in existence for us to finish the song, literally. But I was also doing convincing. Somehow, Sony also like convinced him. He then was like, okay, cool, let's see.
Mm. Mm.
And we did the song again, a beautiful song, beautiful melody, something we were really proud of. And it came out, and we were all so nervous because it could either, if it flops, it's like, "Yabona ngiyatha." Yeah, well, you were trying to do what we are yeah. It could be that fast. So you try to recreate something,
Mm.
which you should have just left it,
Mm.
and it was good as it is. Or people just love it and see that, no, man, this collaboration is just incredible, and it
Mm.
creates something, something magical. Zach was convinced. He didn't play too much of a part there. That was all me. And thank goodness, I mean, it's been nominated for 2 summers. It's done very well.
Yeah.
But listen, we act cool when we speak to, like, people in interviews and like, oh yeah, but there's a lot of nerves that, and I think a lot of people don't know that experience. When you're an artist and you leave the studio, now you have to submit.
Mm.
That process of whether people are going to love what you do or not
Mm.
is the scariest thing ever, because we are the end of the day, we're human.
Mm. Mm.
And especially if you love like something like music, you put your heart and soul in it.
Mm.
And so for people just to be like, that's a flop, it
Yeah.
hurts.
And it's so easy
And
for people to do that, right? Like it's just like
oh, oh, LSG, oh, what's up, LSG? I don't say topic, like,
yeah.
so I never take it for granted when people love the music you have out there. But that's how that's how we actually created the collaboration. I need to thank Zags actually for that,
Yeah.
for convincing me, because I was not about that life.
Yeah.
Me, hip hop, I love hip hop, but enough.
Yeah.
But I'm very proud of those two projects.
Yeah, and you should be, and congratulations on your summer nominations because,
Yes.
I mean, also with regards to the summers, I don't believe that.
Yes, let's get into it.
Yeah, I don't believe that actually the summers have ever received so much criticism like they did this year. They always do, but like this year has been quite like hectic, and I've got my own views about it, especially with regards to certain artists being snubbed for their awards, but like also all artists, as soon as you submit to be nominated for the summers, everybody kind of like wishes and hopes that they'll get a nomination. That's just how it is.
Yes.
But I want to ask you, like, how do you feel firstly about being nominated, and secondly about the kind of criticism that the Summers has received of late?
Well, you have to understand the Summers goes through the same criticism the Grammys goes through.
Mm,
All award ceremonies are criticized. It's not just the Summers, whether it's Billboards, Grammys, Summers, you name it.
mm,
Someone's going to be upset. And that's why, I mean, I remember Zegs telling my purists on Twitter that, look, yo, man, at 1 year, and it's true, Zegs was nominated for 5 Summers and did not win one and still had to perform at the end.
Eish. Ay, yeah, that
And
one.
obviously killed the performance.
Yeah.
But that's how you
Yes, yes, yeah. It's almost like you would say, I believe I don't want to perform this thing. Leave. Keep your awards.
you get you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it never made him less of a musician. He's
Mm,
still in music with his executive as an artist, and he's having my producer team. And shout out to DJ my producer. Me and him also go way back. But like, we should never value ourselves from awards.
mm, mm,
Yes, it's nice. To have something to put at home, and it's almost like a way of saying, okay, we see you doing your work, but why would you ever value other people's opinions per se? You
mm,
should trust in your music, and that's just like the cherry on top. But the cake is still delicious either
mm,
way.
mm,
And I think people need to understand that there's some people also, and a lot of the general public don't know this, who don't submit at all and intentionally because
mm,
they don't want to be a part of it. I know a lot of people. I mean, I know, for example, Shot does one of them. I think Euphonics is another. I'm not sure.
mm.
Casper doesn't
At some
anymore.
point, Kalawa
You know,
stopped,
Galawa at some
submitting. At
point
some
stuff.
point, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so many artists who actually just don't submit at all.
Mm,
And for me, I think because I mean, it's great. I wasn't expecting being nominated for 2 songs at all. That's not why I do music, and I
mm,
think you have to um, almost reevaluate. And it's fine. We're always learning. It's a journey called life, and just say like, what was the reason for me getting into this in the industry in the first place? Was it
mm,
for the awards, or was it because I actually love doing music? And if it's
mm,
because you love doing music, then continue doing what you do. And there were a lot of great artists who I'm a huge fan of personally, who were nominated.
mm,
And I don't know, for me, it didn't kill the. I'm not like, oh, they were nominated. I don't like their music as much.
mm,
It didn't change anything for me.
mm,
And I think
mm.
that's what's paramount. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oops, ooh, we're nominated. I can get it. Delete on Apple. Yeah,
Yeah,
so delete on the
yeah.
iTunes.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it doesn't
yeah.
work like that. And in 2017, you were working with a legendary John Lind, and this is a singer, I mean, a songwriter who's worked with Madonna as well as Earth, Wind, and Fire. Firstly, how did that come about? And secondly, like, how was that experience for you? Where's the song also?
So, so the reason I was working with him, and it's a lot that you guys are going to see this year and next year. So I've been silently. You guys know I'm very silent because I don't like being loud.
Mm,
So, but I can't speak of it because my music's coming out. I've been workshopping with like the best of the best. I can't even expose all the people in music, but when I say some of the greatest writers of our time,
mm,
John being one of them, of course. Um, so I have an incredible agent overseas abroad in the States in the USA, and she linked me up with John. And so, there's also another guy that I worked with, and his name is Nitsan. He works a lot, Nitsan. He works a lot with Justin Timberlake, to name a few. And so what I was doing is workshopping myself, you know,
mm,
uh, to find a happy medium between what's African and what works, of course, globally, but also in the States as well.
mm,
And so, because I love the funk, I'm huge on Earth, Wind, and Fire.
mm,
And I loved how someone like Madonna's always reinvented herself because one thing I've learned, I always love to benchmark from the best.
mm,
And one thing I learned from America is they're very well packaged. One, they package whatever they do,
mm,
so it's like if you go to any store. Okay, I've worked with Woolworths, so I can say I've been, so I can say them. But if you go to Woolworths, one thing I love about Woolworths whether their food is better or not than the next, but it's well packaged.
Mm.
They make you believe that you are really getting the real deal.
Mm.
Whether it is or not doesn't matter. That's
Mm.
up for debate.
Mm.
But so Americans are really good at that. So and even with music, their A&R process, the way of reinventing from an image perspective, and then the music then uh, uh, again it represents that is incredible. In fact, someone who does that well from an African perspective is Burna Boy. I know obviously he borrows a lot from Femi Kuti. In
Mm.
fact, he's like 99.9 Femi, and then he's Burna.
Borrowing, I think, is putting it lightly.
Yeah,
Like, no, he's not borrowing. He's taking. He's literally taking almost
he's
everything.
the new
Anyway,
Femi.
yeah.
And I'm not complaining because I was a huge Femi, huge. I'm huge on Femi and Fela. Sorry, Fela rather.
Yeah,
Because
fella.
actually Fela. Sorry, Fela. I'm a huge fan of Fela and both Femi actually. So I'm not complaining. It's just seeing Fela continue, you know.
Mm.
But one thing he's also incredible with. So he's great with his music, but there's an image to it. So I've been just learning. But I've been doing it behind the scenes, writing songs, learning, workshopping,
Mm.
and you picked that up, which was very impressive. So like even now in December, I was in LA. I can't say why, but oh well, part of it also was me working on Black is King, which was incredible.
Mm.
But also in LA doing other stuff. But learning, I'm learning from these incredible songwriters who've done legendary hits
Mm.
throughout the ages. So you'll see what I'm doing as of next month. But
Yeah.
I wanted to put in the work. I've been doing it for the last like 4 years. Very silently. Yeah.
Mm. There's a lot of stuff that like I think we will not unpack, before the hour. But I do have to ask you though about, some most of the time when aspiring artists, when we look at people who've made it, people who we want to, where we want to see ourselves, sometimes we find that we don't really, we only look at a snapshot of the success. We only look at snapshots of, the runway, the selling gold, the platinum selling, and doing sort of things, different things. But what has been, what would you say has been some of, or one of the most difficult things that you had to come out of?
I think okay. So in different stages, so for one, as a female, just having people pry on you, it's a real thing. You see GBV, that movement in South Africa. There's a lot of harassment in our industry, and obviously, maybe you wouldn't have experienced it, but as a female, it's so hard to wanting to be ambitious and knowing what you want to get, and almost someone like dangling this carrot and saying, "Yeah, well, before you can get that, I know you're talented, I know you deserve it, but."
Mm.
And so I was fortunate enough that I never had to compromise myself from a moral principle perspective. But the fact that that was even in circles, and or you felt that there was a coercion, and if you said no, then you don't get the job, was a big issue for me. And it's also music. You
Mm.
see so many, I mean, for me, especially in the house fraternity, a lot of DJs are using their powers to exploit young females,
Mm.
which is something people don't like talking about, but it definitely is there, and it needs to be spoken about.
Mm. Mm.
Because it's terrible. You end up compromising yourself when you really don't want to. So it's something I like to speak about a lot. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to be protected and never had to go through such. But I mean, sure, I know so many experiences that many people have had to go through very traumatic. So I
Mm.
wish there'd be more structure in that way and support for females and males, but also
Mm.
particularly young females. So that's one. The second one as well, and it may sound frivolous, but it's a really serious thing. So, stereotypically, someone like myself who was, for some odd reason, boxed into the it girl thing, because I never looked like the it girl, never wanted to be the it girl, never aspired to the it girl, but I was put into that it girl
You and it
status.
can, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like shallowness, and it's also seen as frivolous. So I was put in that box, and because of that, it was like, oh, Nandi got this gig because she's a sexy piece, or the single's doing well because she
Mm.
looks good, but like, can she really sing?
Mm. Mm.
Like, and I mean, I see people even question like your biggest stars, because someone aesthetically is in a stereotypical way, because I feel like everyone's beautiful, and like how society is somehow like determined people as beautiful, and that because they have nothing else to offer when really they are incredible,
Mm.
or do take the talent seriously. So that's been the biggest thing for me. So, and it's the reason why I put so much work in. You'll be hearing my single and how musical it is, and even Say You Will was, and Gangster Love. It was so important, and I kept saying that like the vocals, as much as yes, we have to commercialize it and not be too singy, but like people can hear the it was cool.
Yeah.
Because if I made it too commercial, it'd be like, well,
Yeah.
nah, I wanna just because,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest struggle I've had
Mm.
as well. And then also, this is just in general. I hate the competitiveness in our industry because we're all so different. I see it a lot with you males actually in
Mm.
music. It's so dirty.
Mm.
Like, and people always were worried about the it girls. I'm a DJ. Access my computer. You
Yeah.
guys, worse than the it girls. I mean, it girls are over that competition or somewhat. You and I was just thinking. I mean, because at the end of the day, yes, we've all. I mean, you can see the world is starting to become smaller, and we're all kind of getting international recognition in our own different ways, which is great.
Mm.
Uh, but at the same time, there's no one who's like on Billboard number one
Mm.
yet.
Mm.
There's no one who's doing that right now.
Mm.
So can we all like relax and just focus? I'm not saying that Billboard number one matters, but there's no one on that level yet.
Mm.
There's no commercially, I mean, really commercial. I'm talking about Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, you
Mm.
name it. Not that that matters as well, but I'm just saying from a global perspective, there's no one who's killing it like that, which means that, and we're getting there. Let's all work together
Mm.
to really show them what we're about,
Mm.
and show ourselves because we are the talent. But because we're so busy having these egotistical fights,
Mm.
we could be way stronger together. But now we're so obsessed with Nandi needs to be number one.
Mm.
But
Mm.
what if Nandi can help the next artist and they become number one and we all win and we
Mm.
all eat this cake together and now they all know about the continent and it makes it even easier for Nandi
Mm.
to get
Mm.
in as well. So I see a lot of that camaraderie uh, abroad and I wish we'd have it more because we have this like lobster crab mentality, pull him down, pull her down. Everyone almost has this narcissistic way of wanting to be the only one. I
Mm.
must be the only DJ, I must be the only singer, I must be the
Mm.
only producer, I must be the only, and there doesn't have to be one.
Mm.
There's a
Mm.
whole lot of us. There's enough for all of us.
I think most of it, like that's such an important point, and I believe that most of it
Mm,
has been probably because the platforms in our industry, they are still growing. I believe that in a few years time we will see a bigger music and entertainment industry where more people can be working with brands, so for example, like if you
mm,
see Casper working with MTN, and now suddenly you feel
mm,
like, damn, now I can't work with MTN, and now I'm left with only Vodacom and what.
mm.
So like there's
Yeah.
a lot of competition in that sense, but I think what that has done, it has actually done the negative when it comes to our art forms. Like we're starting to focus
Yeah.
more on only on building brands and being so super competitive, but not so much competitive on the quality of our music. And I think that's an important thing that we
Mm,
need to grow. But I wanted to ask you about, I mean, in 2018, you showcased your fashion line with Inga Majibi at the New York Fashion Week. Amazing stuff.
yes.
Your shoe range with Aldo won an international award this year. And also, you collaborate with a lot of brands. But I think because of time, I do have to ask you about Beyonce's movie album with Disney, Black is King. How did you get on that, and what
Yeah.
is to be expected from that?
So, okay, and thank you so much for that question. I have to give a huge shout out to Kenze Mashilo. She won Project Runway, and she helped me create the all like 80% of those garments that we showcased in New York. So I had to give a huge shout out for her to her rather. And yeah, I've been very blessed in that sense. So we can't speak too much, all of us as a whole, obviously, because Black is King is not out.
Okay.
But the one thing I do want to communicate with the whole world is Beyonce is honestly the sweetest, most humble, just down to earth, kind human being first, because that's what we all are first, human being ever. Yes, she's a superstar, but as a human being, my personal experience with her was incredible. It was just from human to human. Um, and that's what I took away from such a project.
Mm.
And I think that's the most important thing for me. Whether you're someone who gets starstruck or not, I love the human experience because we are just human.
Mm.
And so I'd love to shout in it, even on the highest mountain, that she is just the kindest. You have no idea. Like I'm playing it so down, you know. I mean, things like just saying how beautiful I look, how great I smell constantly. I mean, you don't have to. We're working,
Yeah.
you know. You don't have to tell me
And you are
anything, you
Beyonce.
know.
I mean,
Action,
yeah.
yeah, you know. So yeah, so obviously with that, because we can't say a lot of obviously about the project, but what I do want to say is she's the real deal, man. She's
Mm.
so she deserves everything and more. And I'm not one who like obsesses over superstars.
Mm.
For me, it's like I said, it's about you as a human being, and it always impresses me when someone as big as she is,
Mm.
a true icon is just an incredible human being to be around. You know, when you're like, your parents did such a good job,
Mm.
and yes, you're so hardworking. You have millions. You just, you're doing so well, but you're so grounded.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
and when you see when someone's grounded is when you're on set. Sets are long hours. It's
Mm.
hard to stay nice
Mm.
on set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even a normal person is nice, but at
Yeah.
some point it's just like,
Yeah.
and I was just so inspired by that. And I think that's something a lot of us here can learn from. Because
Mm.
if you're someone as big as her and you can be that incredible, that beautiful
Mm.
in terms of just inside and then of course out.
Mm.
That's what I took away from it, because a lot of us in our industry here, we feel the need to be super arrogant, be
Mm.
rude to like our followers or just colleagues, and there's no need. And she showed me that you can be absolutely graceful and
Mm.
that successful.
It's such a strong thing that I believe in, and I always try to push it
Mm-hmm.
on this show, because I believe that kindness is the utmost strength. We've been taught for such a long time, or deceived to think that you people need to be mean. You need to be mean to people. You need to see yourself as
Mm-hmm.
better than other people. But that's just insecurity. Honestly speaking,
It's insecurity.
most of the time when you see the meanest people, you will find out that those are the most insecure people. Something's lacking, definitely. And thank you for, for your time. Just to
Can I add?
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is so good. I know I'm supposed to say I need to go, but this was such a good interview. I wanted to say that a lot of stuff also become is from childhood insecurities,
Mm.
and that's what, for example, me as a mother, as much as I have this career, the most important project is me being a mom, because, like I say, the first 5 years are the most important. That's your foundation.
Mm.
So emotional intelligence is way more important than having an IQ. EQ
Mm.
is way more important than anything, because you can be successful and become an addict. You can be successful and just lose yourself. You can be successful, but
Mm.
EQ, that's what you find a lot of people who get the stardom or get all the success, and you almost perplexed as to why were you so unhappy at the heights of your career?
Mm.
And that's where
Mm.
EQ comes in, because
Mm.
all of these lives that we have, for me, nothing else matters. My family comes first. Me
Mm.
being good to you, I know how you are as a person, being a good person that you are. That's the most important thing.
Amazing, amazing, and just people so that they know. On that Beyonce film with Disney, Nandi is also
Yes.
casted alongside Connie Chime. Like amazing actress.
Yeah.
Warren Masemola and
Yeah.
Nyani Sotzeza. Like amazing, amazing
Yeah.
South African actors, and it's so dope to see local artists, appear on those kind of platforms, because I think it's an exposure for our scene, for our South African entertainment industry. You guys are doing us proud. But anyway, let's pack it here. Thank you so much for doing this. I think You one of the best people that I've met. You know, you're such a kind person. We met in 2012. You know, it was I think at
Yeah,
Ralph Gum's party in
yeah,
Midrand. Yeah, and we've known each other since. So thank you for being such a nice
absolutely.
person. Hey,
I'm so proud of you. I mean, that you forgot to mention how proud I said I was of you. I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
Continue to shine, continue doing what you do. Man, oh man, I can't wait to see you soaring to the highest mountains beyond the sky, beyond the universe. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so much. And thank you to those who are watching. You know, if you're on your
yeah.
mobile or laptop at home, thank you for watching this. Please tag somebody in the comment section who might learn from the video, who might enjoy the video. And let's share the video as well so more people can see it. Tomorrow, I have a guy who owns a sound company, Martin Smith. I want to chat to him a bit about the company, how it started, and especially about the current times. All sound companies are affected as much as DJs and artists, performing artists. You know, it's such a not a nice time to be in, but here we are. So yeah, guys, also remember to stay creative. Peace out.